Sophia woke with a sharp clarity that was both unfamiliar and intoxicating. The haze of her past life, the pain, the heartbreak, the endless nights of tears, had dissolved, replaced by a steely resolve that settled deep within her bones. Betrayal had been the cruel architect of her downfall, but now it served as the foundation for her rebirth. As the morning light filtered through the curtains, casting soft shadows across her room, she felt no sorrow. Instead, a cold fire burned behind her eyes, a fire that whispered promises of retribution and justice long overdue. Her mind replayed the scene that had shattered her world. John, the man she had trusted with her heart, intertwined in betrayal with Deborah, her own sister. The intimacy of their deceit was a knife twisted mercilessly in her chest, but Sophia refused to succumb to despair. Tears had no place here, only precision and patience would serve her now. The days ahead were hers to command, and she would wield this second chance like a weapon forged in the crucible of pain and rebirth. Sophia moved through her morning routine with the calm of a predator stalking its prey. Every action was deliberate, every thought honed to a razor's edge. She dressed not to hide her scars, but to armor herself, elegance paired with an unyielding aura of control. Her reflection in the mirror was a woman transformed, no longer the naive fiancé blinded by love, but a strategist ready to reclaim what had been stolen. Her lips curved into a faint, knowing smile as she checked her phone, a silent reminder of the contacts she would soon need to call, the plans she would set in motion. The apartment was still, but beneath its polished surface, a storm was gathering. Sophia's living room, once filled with laughter and dreams, had become the stage for a quiet, ruthless performance. She had installed discreet cameras in every key corner, each lens capturing the truth that others desperately tried to hide. Tonight, those recordings would become her sword and shield. Her past life's lessons whispered in her ear, knowledge is power, and exposure is victory. As the afternoon sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of amber and rose, Sophia reached out to Deborah. The text she sent was innocent in tone but laced with calculated intent. She invited her sister over, knowing full well the web of lies Deborah had spun, and how easily she would walk right into the trap. Deborah's reply came swiftly, feigning surprise but betraying a hunger for approval and comfort that Sophia was more than willing to exploit. She was already a player in a game whose rules she now fully understood. Sophia retreated to a quiet cafe nearby, the hum of life around her contrasting sharply with the cold resolve that gripped her heart. Her espresso was bitter but fitting, a reminder that sweetness was no longer a luxury she could afford. Opening her laptop, she accessed the live feeds from her apartment, watching the drama unfold with detached interest. Deborah arrived, laughter barely masking the tension in her eyes, while John greeted her with an intimacy that stung like acid. Their whispers, their gestures, their careless disregard for loyalty played out before Sophia's unwavering gaze. The hours passed with the inevitability of a tide pulling her closer to the moment of reckoning. Sophia's heart did not flutter with panic or sorrow, it thrummed with the exhilarating cadence of a battle already half won. She sipped her coffee, the bitter taste a companion to the mounting satisfaction of justice about to be served. Every detail was accounted for, the timing, the evidence, the emotional weight carried in the recorded moments. Returning to her apartment as twilight bled into night, Sophia shed her outer layers quietly, slipping into the role she had perfected. Her phone camera in hand, she moved through the shadows toward the bedroom, the epicenter of betrayal. She entered softly, the door swinging open just enough to reveal two startled faces caught in a web of their own making. John's expression morphed from smug confidence to stunned horror, while Deborah's eyes widened with the panic of a cornered animal. Sophia's voice was syrupy sweet, dripping with mock innocence as she teased them with her presence. The facade shattered instantly, the carefully maintained illusions crumbled beneath the weight of exposure. John scrambled for excuses, his smooth words failing to mask the truth captured by the unblinking lens. Deborah's tears were as familiar as they were futile, crocodile in their sincerity. Sophia's gaze held none of the tenderness they sought, only the cold assessment of a woman reclaiming her narrative. Leaving them to grapple with their humiliation, Sophia retreated with a final, triumphant smile. She returned to the living room, where the calm resumed like the eye of a storm. With steady hands, she began the transformation of raw footage into a masterpiece of revelation, a montage underscored by haunting music that framed the betrayal as both tragedy and victory. The video was dispatched anonymously to a merciless gossip blogger, a catalyst for the inevitable public reckoning. Notifications flooded her phone as the scandal exploded across social media. Support poured in for Sophia, while Deborah and John faced a tidal wave of condemnation. The illustrious family name, once untouchable, was dragged through the mud by the undeniable evidence. Sophia's silence was her power, and her patience was the strategy that ensured her tormentor's downfall. The game had changed, and she was the one holding the deck. When John's frantic calls came, begging for mercy, Sophia listened with detached amusement. Offers of money, promises of silence, all fell on ears that had been deafened by years of deceit. Then came the summons from Ryan, the patriarch whose reputation alone could command armies. Sophia prepared for her final move, a meeting in the lion's den where power, respect, and legacy would be contested not with violence, but with the cold precision of a chess master. The story of betrayal and rebirth had only just begun, but Sophia was already writing the opening lines of her new legacy, one where pain was transformed into power, and silence became the most deadly weapon of all. Sophia's story begins not with a fairy tale sweetness, but with the hard-edged reality of a woman reborn from the ashes of betrayal. Once naive and trusting, she had surrendered her heart entirely to John, the man she believed was her destiny. Yet beneath his polished exterior lay shadows she was blind to, deceit masked by charm, ambition disguised as affection. Now, with her past life's clarity shining like a beacon, Sophia stood not as the broken girl she once was, but as a fortress of will and intellect, armed with a purpose forged through pain and rebirth. In her earlier years, Sophia had been gentle, almost hesitant, a woman who wore her heart on her sleeve and believed in the inherent goodness of those closest to her. But those days were behind her, buried beneath the weight of bitter lessons. The rebirth had stripped away illusions, leaving behind a sharp mind and a soul tempered by hardship. She carried the scars of the past with grace, each one a reminder of what she would never allow to happen again. No longer would she be a victim of love's cruel games. Instead, she embraced a new identity, strategist, survivor, queen in the making. John, her fiancé, was the perfect example of a man who mastered the art of deception. To the outside world, he was everything Sophia had ever dreamed of: handsome, charismatic, successful. His smile disarmed even the most cautious, and his words dripped with a honeyed sincerity that fooled many. Yet behind that veneer was a man driven by selfish desires, willing to sacrifice loyalty for convenience. His ambitions stretched far beyond their relationship, often pulling him into dangerous liaisons and betrayals that Sophia only discovered too late in her previous life. Now, reborn, she saw through the mask with unerring precision. Deborah, Sophia's sister, was a study in contradictions. To many, she seemed the innocent and loving sibling, sweet-eyed, supportive, and gentle. But Sophia knew better. Beneath Deborah's carefully constructed facade lay a cunning and manipulative nature, skilled at weaving webs of lies and deceit. She had long coveted the life Sophia was building, envious of her achievements and the affection she commanded. Deborah's betrayal was not born of passion alone, but of deep-seated jealousy and greed. In their tangled family dynamics, she was the shadow lurking just out of sight, waiting to pounce when opportunity struck. The relationships between Sophia, John, and Deborah were complex and fraught with unspoken tensions. Years of sibling rivalry, hidden resentments, and fractured trust simmered beneath their interactions. In Sophia's previous life, these fissures had been ignored or masked by hope and denial. Now, with her rebirth granting insight, she recognized the poisonous undercurrents for what they were: threats to be dismantled, enemies to be outmaneuvered. Each smile shared, each conversation exchanged, was a move on a chessboard where stakes were high and mistakes deadly. Ryan, John's father, was an imposing figure shrouded in power and mystery. A titan in the business world, he commanded respect and instilled fear with quiet authority. Few dared challenge his word, and even fewer understood the depth of his influence. Ryan's presence in Sophia's life was initially that of a distant patriarch, aloof, calculating, and seemingly indifferent to family dramas. Yet as events unfolded, it became clear that beneath his stern exterior lay a mind equally sharp and a heart capable of forging unexpected alliances. His relationship with Sophia would prove pivotal, shifting from wary observation to partnership grounded in mutual ambition and respect. The dynamics between these four characters formed a volatile cocktail of power struggles, emotional battles, and hidden agendas. Sophia's rebirth served as the catalyst that disrupted their carefully maintained equilibrium, forcing secrets into the light and alliances into sharp relief. Every interaction was charged with the weight of past betrayals and future possibilities. The stage was set not just for revenge, but for a transformation that would redefine loyalty, love, and power within this fractured family. Sophia's intelligence was not merely academic but instinctual. She had learned to read people, to anticipate moves before they were made, and to respond with precision. Her rebirth had gifted her with patience and the ability to mask her true intentions beneath a calm exterior. She cultivated a persona that was both approachable and enigmatic, drawing others in while maintaining control over the narrative. This duality made her a formidable opponent to John and Deborah, who underestimated the depth of her resolve and the breadth of her strategy. John's charm was his weapon and his weakness. He wielded it effortlessly, bending situations to his favor and masking his true intentions with ease. However, beneath the charm lurked insecurities and desperation, particularly as Sophia began to unravel the layers of his duplicity. His relationship with his father, Ryan, was complicated by expectations and power dynamics, adding another layer to the family's tangled web. John's downfall would be as much a product of his hubris as of Sophia's calculated moves. Deborah's manipulation extended beyond personal betrayal. She was adept at influencing family perceptions and exploiting weaknesses. Her relationship with Ryan was indirect but significant, as she sought to align herself with power through subtle means. The facade of innocence she maintained was a critical part of her strategy to deflect suspicion and maintain influence. Yet Sophia's rebirth and clear-eyed determination threatened to expose Deborah's true nature, setting a collision course between sisterly bonds and bitter rivalry. Ryan's character embodied the archetype of the patriarch who operates behind the scenes, pulling strings and shaping outcomes with deliberate intent. His perception of Sophia shifted from skepticism to cautious admiration as he witnessed her intelligence and resolve. Their eventual alliance was not born of affection, but of mutual benefit and strategic necessity. Ryan's formidable presence and resources provided Sophia with the leverage needed to challenge John and Deborah's machinations, tipping the balance of power. The narrative's emotional landscape was rich with conflict, between love and betrayal, trust and suspicion, power and vulnerability. Sophia's journey from innocence to empowerment was mirrored by the unraveling facades of those around her. Each character's motivations were layered, shaped by personal histories and ambitions that clashed and converged in unpredictable ways. This intricate web set the stage for a story that was as much about psychological warfare as it was about personal redemption. Throughout the story, Sophia's rebirth was a transformative force, enabling her to reclaim agency and rewrite the course of her life. Her interactions with John, Deborah, and Ryan were marked by strategic calculation and emotional complexity. She balanced her desire for justice with the need to maintain appearances and navigate societal expectations. This balancing act heightened the tension and deepened the narrative, ensuring that each character's fate was intertwined with the others in a high-stakes game of power, deception, and survival. Sophia's evolution from a betrayed fiancé to a masterful strategist was underscored by moments of introspection and vulnerability. Though driven by revenge, she remained fundamentally human, capable of empathy, doubt, and unexpected tenderness. Her growing alliance with Ryan revealed new dimensions of trust and partnership, challenging traditional notions of family and loyalty. Together, they represented a new order emerging from the chaos of betrayal, poised to reshape their world according to their will. In this complex tapestry of relationships and motivations, the characters' paths were destined to collide in dramatic and transformative ways. Sophia's rebirth was not merely a second chance, but an awakening that set in motion a chain of events destined to expose lies, punish betrayal, and build a legacy forged in strength and resilience. The intricate interplay between Sophia, John, Deborah, and Ryan created a rich narrative landscape ripe for tension, drama, and ultimately, empowerment. Sophia stood frozen for a moment, the scene before her burning itself into her mind with brutal clarity. John and Deborah, entwined in betrayal, careless and oblivious to the storm that was about to descend. But unlike the broken woman she once was, Sophia did not wail or crumble. Instead, she breathed deeply, the cold air filling her lungs and steadying her racing heart. This was not the moment for tears. It was the moment for precision, patience, and ruthless calculation. The rebirth she had experienced had gifted her with clarity, a gift she intended to wield like a scalpel, cutting through deceit and lies with surgical accuracy. From the first second, Sophia began to mentally map the battlefield. She understood the gravity of the conspiracy against her. This betrayal was not a mere moment of weakness or passion, it was a meticulously crafted plan designed to dismantle her life, bleed her inheritance dry, and erase her from the legacy she was entitled to. John and Deborah's alliance was fueled by greed, ambition, and a selfishness that blinded them to the consequences. They believed that with her shattered and silenced, their path would be clear. They underestimated the power of a woman reborn. Sophia's first move was subtle yet decisive. She had already anticipated this moment and prepared accordingly. The cameras she had covertly installed captured every word, every touch, every whispered secret exchanged in that bedroom. With evidence secured, she was no longer a woman driven by emotion but a strategist armed with irrefutable proof. She reviewed the footage carefully, noting the patterns of their deception, the way Deborah feigned innocence when confronted, the ease with which John masked his duplicity behind a charming smile. Each frame was a testament to their treachery, and Sophia resolved to use it to devastating effect. Knowing that direct confrontation too early could play into their hands, Sophia adopted a stance of quiet observation. She began planting traps designed to expose their ambitions beyond the obvious affair. Discreet inquiries were made among the household staff and family acquaintances, revealing inconsistencies in the stories John and Deborah spun. Whispers of financial irregularities and suspicious meetings surfaced, hinting at a conspiracy that threatened not only her personal life but also the very foundation of the family fortune. Sophia's rebirth had taught her the importance of patience. She resisted the temptation to react with anger or desperation. Instead, she worked silently, gathering allies where she could and strengthening her position. She rekindled old relationships with family friends and legal advisors, carefully ensuring they understood the stakes without revealing too much too soon. Every step was calculated to avoid alerting John and Deborah to the full extent of her knowledge and intentions. As days passed, the initial shock of betrayal evolved into a relentless campaign of exposure. Sophia began anonymously leaking selective information to trusted contacts in the media, sowing seeds of doubt about John's character and Deborah's sincerity. The narrative was carefully crafted to portray her as the wronged woman, a victim of greed and manipulation. Public opinion began to shift, and the once unassailable reputation of John's family started to crack under the pressure. Meanwhile, John and Deborah continued their charade, unaware that their carefully constructed facade was unraveling thread by thread. They dismissed Sophia's silence as weakness, believing her to be overwhelmed by grief. Their arrogance blinded them to the danger lurking in the shadows, Sophia's unwavering resolve and the network of evidence she was building. They made mistakes, leaving behind digital footprints and overheard conversations that Sophia's team meticulously documented. The threat of disinheritance loomed large. John, sensing the growing power shift, pressured family elders to sideline Sophia, casting doubts on her mental stability and loyalty. Deborah, ever the manipulator, spread rumors to isolate Sophia socially and financially. They believed that by cutting off her support and resources, they could force her into submission. But Sophia anticipated these moves and countered by securing her own legal counsel and financial backing, drawing on assets she had safeguarded from the past life's mistakes. One pivotal moment came when Sophia uncovered attempts to frame her for misappropriation of family funds. Fabricated documents and false accusations were circulating, designed to discredit her and justify stripping her of any claim to the family legacy. Rather than panic, Sophia treated this as another piece of the puzzle. She launched a discreet investigation, collaborating with trusted forensic experts who exposed the fabrications. This revelation not only thwarted the frame-up but turned the tide, exposing John and Deborah's willingness to destroy everything to secure their own positions. Throughout this escalating conflict, Sophia maintained a facade of calm and grace. To the outside world, she was the composed fiancé enduring hardship with dignity. But beneath this veneer, a relentless force was at work. Every meeting she attended, every conversation she had, was an opportunity to gather information and tighten the noose around her betrayers. Her strategic brilliance shone through in how she manipulated social dynamics and legal leverage without ever appearing overtly confrontational. John and Deborah's miscalculations grew as they underestimated Sophia's capacity for resilience and strategy. Their impatience and overconfidence led them to make reckless decisions, like conspiring in secret meetings that were carefully monitored or publicly attacking Sophia's character in ways that only increased sympathy for her cause. Each blunder played directly into Sophia's hands, accelerating their downfall. Sophia's alliance with Ryan, John's father, remained carefully managed during this period. Though initially distant, Ryan's respect for Sophia's intelligence and strength deepened as he observed her handling of the crisis. Their communication was often indirect, punctuated by coded messages and discreet exchanges that fortified Sophia's position within the family power structure. Ryan's influence became an invaluable asset, providing Sophia with protection and resources that John and Deborah could not easily counter. As the conflict reached its crescendo, Sophia was no longer just defending her place, she was dictating the terms of the battle. Every move was part of a broader campaign to dismantle John and Deborah's hold on the family fortune and reputation. She transformed from a victim to an architect of justice, orchestrating their public disgrace and legal reckoning with an artistry born of experience and rebirth. The moment John and Deborah realized the extent of Sophia's power was too late. Their world, once so secure, began to crumble beneath mounting evidence and shifting loyalties. Friends turned away, allies abandoned them, and the law closed in. Sophia's silent vengeance, patient and precise, had become unstoppable. In the depths of this conflict, Sophia found an unexpected strength, not just in her ability to retaliate, but in her capacity to forgive herself for past naivete and embrace a future defined by control and empowerment. The battle for her legacy was not merely a fight for wealth or status, but a reclaiming of her identity and dignity. The initial conflict that erupted from betrayal evolved into a complex war of strategy and survival. Sophia's rebirth had given her the advantage she needed to navigate the treacherous terrain of family politics, personal vendettas, and legal battles. With every calculated step, she dismantled the lives of those who had wronged her, piece by piece, proving that a quiet storm could be more devastating than the fiercest tempest. Sophia's exterior was a mask of calm, poised, collected, and seemingly untouched by the chaos unraveling around her. To those who saw her in public or met her in the gilded halls of the family estate, she appeared as the embodiment of grace under pressure. Yet beneath that serene facade, a tempest raged, a complex swirl of emotions that tested her every resolve and threatened to fracture the carefully constructed armor she had built since her rebirth. Anger was the most immediate and palpable force. It surged through her veins like wildfire whenever she recalled the scenes of betrayal, the intimate closeness between John and Deborah, the casual lies told with practiced ease, the years of trust shattered in an instant. This anger was not the wild, uncontrolled fury of a scorned woman, it was a cold, simmering rage that fueled her plans with relentless intensity. Every smile she offered in public hid the sharp edges of that wrath, a promise that retribution would be exacted in full. Grief, however, was the quieter, more insidious companion to her anger. It wrapped around her in moments of solitude, tightening like a noose. Sophia mourned not only the loss of love and trust but also the years wasted in blindness to the truth. The life she had lived before, the mistakes, the compromises, the moments when she had ignored warning signs, haunted her relentlessly. This grief was layered and multifaceted, sorrow for what was lost, regret for what might have been, and a profound sense of isolation born from the betrayal of those closest to her. Memories from her previous life surfaced unexpectedly, each one a lesson etched in pain. She remembered the times she had forgiven too easily, the occasions she had ignored her intuition, and the moments when she had allowed hope to blind her to reality. These recollections were bittersweet, painful reminders of vulnerability but also invaluable guides for her new path. They sharpened her determination never to repeat those mistakes, compelling her to act with calculated precision rather than impulsive emotion. Yet beneath the layers of anger and grief, Sophia grappled with a more subtle, conflicting desire, the longing for justice and personal redemption. Revenge alone was not enough, she yearned for a resolution that would restore her sense of self and reclaim the dignity stolen from her. This quest for justice was intertwined with a need to prove, primarily to herself, that she was more than a victim of circumstance. It was a journey to redefine her identity, to transform pain into strength, and to find peace amid the wreckage of her past. This internal conflict was made more complex by Sophia's evolving feelings toward Ryan, John's father. Initially, Ryan was a distant figure, an intimidating patriarch whose presence loomed large but whose motives were unclear. However, as their interactions increased, Sophia found herself drawn to his quiet strength and strategic mind. Their relationship, forged in shared ambition and mutual respect, challenged her carefully maintained detachment. She began to experience vulnerability in unexpected ways, a flicker of trust, moments of genuine connection that unsettled her but also provided a surprising source of solace. Navigating this emotional labyrinth was not easy. Sophia struggled to balance her burning desire for revenge with the softer impulses of empathy and hope. The tension between these forces created a dynamic inner world, rich with uncertainty and depth. She questioned her motivations, wrestled with doubts about her capacity for forgiveness, and grappled with the fear that her pursuit of vengeance might consume her entirely. Sophia's emotional journey was further complicated by the fractured relationships with John and Deborah. Despite their betrayals, remnants of affection and shared history lingered, creating moments of painful ambivalence. She found herself haunted by memories of happier times, flashes of kindness and connection that made the bitterness of their treachery all the more acute. This emotional push and pull added layers of complexity to her resolve, forcing her to confront not only their deception but also her own lingering attachments. In moments of solitude, Sophia allowed herself to feel the full weight of her sorrow and loss. Tears would come unbidden, a release for the tightly coiled tension within her. These moments were brief but necessary, cleansing her spirit and renewing her strength. She understood that to be truly powerful, she had to embrace her humanity fully, not deny it. The emotional struggles she faced were integral to her transformation, shaping her into a woman capable of both ruthless strategy and profound resilience. Sophia's internal battle was also marked by the challenge of maintaining appearances. In the high-stakes world she inhabited, vulnerability was a liability. She mastered the art of hiding her true feelings behind carefully crafted expressions, controlling her voice and gestures to avoid revealing cracks in her armor. This performance required constant vigilance and discipline, draining yet essential to her survival. The duality of her existence, public composure and private turmoil, defined much of her daily life. As the story unfolded, these emotional struggles deepened, influencing her decisions and interactions. They provided a rich subtext to the narrative, highlighting the human cost of betrayal and revenge. Sophia's journey was not simply about dismantling her enemies but about healing wounds that ran far deeper, wounds inflicted by broken trust, lost dreams, and the harsh lessons of a reborn life. Her relationship with Ryan became a focal point for this emotional evolution. Through their growing partnership, Sophia discovered the possibility of new beginnings and the strength found in unexpected alliances. Ryan's steady presence offered a counterbalance to her inner turmoil, a reminder that power and compassion could coexist. Their connection, built on shared goals and mutual understanding, hinted at a future beyond revenge, a future where Sophia could reclaim not only her legacy but also her capacity for trust and love. In this crucible of emotion and strategy, Sophia's character was forged anew. Her internal conflicts made her relatable and compelling, grounding the dramatic stakes in authentic human experience. The interplay of anger, grief, hope, and vulnerability enriched the story, transforming it from a tale of cold retribution into a profound exploration of resilience and redemption. Ultimately, Sophia's emotional struggles underscored the complexity of her journey. they revealed a woman who, despite immense pain, refused to be defined by betrayal. Instead, she chose to harness her inner conflict as a source of power, turning wounds into wisdom, sorrow into strength, and loss into a catalyst for transformation. This nuanced portrayal added depth to the narrative, inviting readers to empathize with her plight and root for her triumph. Her rebirth was not merely a second chance but a profound awakening, a journey into the heart of what it meant to be human, to endure suffering, and to rise beyond it. Sophia's emotional landscape was the foundation upon which her revenge and redemption were built, a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. As Sophia's carefully laid plans began to take shape, a new and unexpected force entered the fray: Ryan, John's father. Initially, he had remained an enigmatic figure, distant and inscrutable, his presence more a looming shadow than an active participant in the family drama. But beneath his austere exterior lay a mind sharp as a blade, one that had long harbored suspicions about the fragile alliances and whispered betrayals festering beneath the surface of his household. When Sophia reached out to him with tentative candor, she found a surprising ally in the man whose power rivaled that of any empire. Their alliance was not born of sentiment or sudden trust. It was forged in the crucible of mutual ambition and shared suspicion. Ryan revealed to Sophia that John and Deborah's betrayal was merely the visible tip of a far deeper and more insidious plot, one that threatened not just her personal happiness but the very survival of the family's business legacy. Corporate espionage, sabotage, and ruthless power plays had been quietly unfolding behind closed doors, orchestrated by unseen hands with motives that intertwined greed with vengeance. Together, Sophia and Ryan began to peel back layers of deception, uncovering a labyrinthine scheme that extended well beyond the initial act of infidelity. Their investigations revealed that John and Deborah were pawns in a larger game, manipulated by external forces aiming to destabilize the family's influence and wealth. This revelation was a turning point for Sophia, shifting her role from that of a solitary avenger to a strategic queenmaker operating within a complex web of corporate warfare. Sophia's knowledge from her previous life proved invaluable as they delved deeper into the intricacies of the conspiracy. She identified patterns and connections that others overlooked, linking financial irregularities to clandestine meetings and encrypted communications. Ryan, with his decades of experience and extensive resources, provided the muscle and authority to pursue these leads with precision. Their partnership balanced her fresh perspective and determination with his seasoned pragmatism and influence. This collaboration elevated the stakes exponentially. The personal revenge Sophia had once sought was now inseparable from the high-stakes battle for control over a vast corporate empire. Each move they made carried weighty consequences, affecting not only family dynamics but also the fortunes of thousands of employees, shareholders, and rival companies. The conflict had transformed into a multidimensional war, where personal vendettas collided with ruthless business strategies. The tension between Sophia and Ryan was palpable but professional. Both understood the necessity of their alliance, even as they guarded their vulnerabilities carefully. Sophia admired Ryan's strategic mind and unwavering resolve, while Ryan respected Sophia's intelligence and unyielding spirit. Their interactions were marked by subtle negotiations and unspoken understandings, each recognizing that trust was a commodity as precious and fragile as the empire they sought to protect. As evidence mounted, Sophia leveraged the revelations to strengthen her position within the family and the business. She negotiated terms that elevated her status from marginalized fiancé to indispensable partner. This shift was not merely symbolic, it granted her access to decision-making power and resources critical to her plans. By aligning herself with Ryan, Sophia transformed from a victim seeking justice into a formidable queenmaker shaping the future of the dynasty. The exposure of the larger scheme sent shockwaves through the family and the corporate world. John and Deborah, once confident in their clandestine actions, found themselves cornered by the undeniable truth. Their complicity in the broader conspiracy was revealed, dismantling their defenses and isolating them from allies. The public and private fallout was swift and severe, with media scrutiny intensifying and legal ramifications looming. Sophia's ascent was marked by a series of calculated public appearances and strategic communications. She maintained a composed and dignified front, carefully managing perceptions to consolidate support and silence detractors. Her partnership with Ryan was showcased as a unifying force for stability and integrity, contrasting sharply with the chaos wrought by John and Deborah's betrayal. This narrative reframing further solidified her authority and legitimacy in the eyes of stakeholders and the public. Behind the scenes, Sophia and Ryan coordinated legal actions and corporate maneuvers designed to protect their interests and dismantle opposing forces. They orchestrated boardroom battles, shareholder interventions, and regulatory investigations with meticulous care. Each victory, however small, chipped away at the foundations of their adversaries, while reinforcing their own power base. The personal dynamics within the family continued to evolve amid this upheaval. Sophia's relationship with Ryan deepened, built on shared goals and mutual respect. The once distant patriarch became a mentor and partner, offering guidance tempered by experience. Sophia, in turn, brought a fresh perspective and relentless energy that revitalized the family's resolve. Their alliance symbolized a new era, one defined not by old resentments but by strategic collaboration and renewed strength. Meanwhile, John and Deborah grappled with the consequences of their actions. The unraveling of their plans exposed vulnerabilities and fractured their alliance. They faced not only public disgrace but also the loss of financial and social capital that had sustained their ambitions. Their desperation led to increasingly reckless behavior, which only hastened their downfall. Sophia watched with a mix of satisfaction and detached sorrow, recognizing that their ruin was a necessary step in her own redemption. The second twist underscored the narrative's complexity, blending personal betrayal with the ruthless realities of corporate power struggles. It revealed that the wounds inflicted by John and Deborah were symptoms of a deeper sickness, a battle for control that encompassed far more than individual grievances. Sophia's transformation from victim to queenmaker was complete, her ascent marked by strategic brilliance and unyielding determination. This turning point also introduced new challenges and uncertainties. With greater power came increased responsibility and scrutiny. Sophia and Ryan faced the delicate task of navigating internal family politics, external business pressures, and their own evolving relationship. The stakes were higher than ever, and mistakes could prove catastrophic. Yet, Sophia's rebirth had prepared her for this moment, equipping her with the resilience and insight needed to thrive amidst complexity. The unfolding drama captivated the attention of allies and adversaries alike, setting the stage for a high-stakes showdown that would determine the future of the family empire. Sophia's alliance with Ryan was both a beacon of hope and a formidable force, signaling a shift in the balance of power. Their combined efforts promised not only justice but also a new order born from the ashes of betrayal. As the second twist rippled through the narrative, Sophia's journey gained new depth and dimension. No longer confined to personal revenge, she became a key player in a grander scheme of corporate intrigue and family legacy. The stakes transcended individual pain, encompassing the fate of an empire and the lives intertwined within it. This alliance and the exposure of the larger conspiracy propelled the story toward a climax that was both personal and epic in scale. Sophia's rise was not just a triumph over betrayal but a redefinition of power, loyalty, and justice. The narrative's complexity mirrored the multifaceted nature of human ambition and resilience, creating a rich tapestry of conflict and transformation. In this moment of revelation, Sophia embraced her role as queenmaker with confidence and clarity. Her strategic partnership with Ryan became the cornerstone of a renewed dynasty, one that promised stability, strength, and a future shaped by their shared vision. The second twist was not merely a plot device but a catalyst for profound change, ushering in a new chapter in Sophia's remarkable journey. The grand hall was packed to the brim, its walls lined with portraits of ancestors and glistening chandeliers casting cold light over the tense gathering. The family meeting had been called with deliberate intent, designed to be a spectacle of power, betrayal, and reckoning. Every eye in the room was fixed on the imposing figure standing near the head of the polished mahogany table, Sophia. Calm, composed, and radiating an aura of unshakable authority, she was no longer the betrayed fiancé but the architect of her own destiny. Ryan stood beside her, a silent sentinel whose presence alone commanded respect. His steely gaze swept over the assembled family members and board directors, many of whom whispered nervously among themselves. The air was thick with anticipation and unease. John and Deborah, seated a few chairs apart, exuded a fragile confidence that belied the storm about to break. Their smiles were tight, forced, a futile attempt to mask their rising panic. Sophia began with measured grace, her voice clear and unwavering as she addressed the room. "We are here today to confront truths long buried under lies and deception. What follows is not merely a family dispute but a reckoning that will reshape the legacy we all share." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle before continuing. "I present to you evidence, irrefutable proof, that John and Deborah conspired not only to betray the trust of this family but to embezzle funds and sabotage our enterprise." A hush fell over the crowd as Ryan activated a series of screens that illuminated the room. Documents, financial records, and surveillance footage flickered to life, each piece meticulously compiled to expose the depth of the treachery. The footage showed clandestine meetings, coded messages, and the careless greed that had fueled the conspiracy. Whispers turned to gasps as the truth unfolded in undeniable clarity. John's face paled, his earlier bravado crumbling under the unrelenting gaze of the assembled witnesses. Deborah's eyes darted nervously, her usual mask of innocence shattered by the mounting evidence. Attempts to interject or deny were met with cold silence and pointed looks from Ryan and Sophia, whose partnership had become the new axis of power in the room. Sophia's voice cut through the tension, firm and commanding. "This betrayal goes beyond personal deceit, it threatens the very foundation of our family's legacy and the livelihoods of countless employees and stakeholders. Justice demands accountability." Her words echoed with the certainty of one who had weathered storms and emerged stronger. As the evidence was laid bare, the family's reactions ranged from shock to disbelief to outright fury. Allies of John and Deborah found themselves reconsidering loyalties, weighing the consequences of association with those exposed as corrupt and deceitful. The atmosphere grew electric, charged with the realization that a seismic shift was underway. John, desperate to salvage what remained of his standing, attempted to offer a monetary payoff, a bribe veiled in the language of reconciliation. "Sophia, please, let's resolve this quietly. There's enough wealth here to make all of this go away." His voice was strained, pleading, but Sophia's response was swift and unequivocal. "I do not seek to be bought or silenced," she declared, her eyes locking onto his with unwavering resolve. "This is not about money, it is about power, justice, and the restoration of what was stolen. I demand not a payoff, but a partnership that secures my place and safeguards this family's future." Gasps rippled through the room as Sophia laid out her terms, a strategic marriage alliance that would bind her irrevocably to the family's legacy. This union was no romance but a calculated consolidation of power, an assertion that she was no longer a pawn but a queenmaker. The boldness of her demand stunned the assembly, challenging conventions and shaking the pillars of tradition. Ryan's support was clear and decisive. He stepped forward, his voice resonant with authority. "Sophia's terms are not only just but necessary. This alliance strengthens the family and ensures stability in the face of betrayal. We must move forward united." His endorsement silenced dissent, framing the proposal as both pragmatic and visionary. The power dynamics within the family shifted irreversibly in that moment. John and Deborah, once confident manipulators, found themselves stripped of influence and dignity. Their public disgrace was complete, and legal consequences loomed as the weight of evidence summoned judicial scrutiny. Their humiliation was the climax of a long and calculated downfall, a testament to Sophia's strategic mastery. Sophia's transformation was now undeniable. She had risen from the ashes of betrayal to claim her rightful place as the commanding matriarch. Her composed demeanor, sharp intellect, and unwavering resolve redefined her role within the family and society. No longer a victim, she was the embodiment of strength and authority. The meeting concluded with formal votes endorsing Sophia's position and the restructuring of the family's leadership. The assembly dispersed, leaving behind an atmosphere charged with the promise of renewal and the echoes of shattered illusions. Sophia and Ryan remained at the head of the table, their partnership a beacon of the new order. In the quiet that followed, Sophia allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. The path had been arduous, marked by pain and sacrifice, but the victory was hers. She had reclaimed not only her legacy but her identity, transforming humiliation into empowerment. The family's future was now hers to shape, a future built on resilience, justice, and unyielding strength. The humiliators had become the humiliated. The tables had turned with decisive finality. Sophia's reign as queenmaker had begun, and with it, a new chapter in the family's saga, one where power was wielded with wisdom and vengeance gave way to legacy. Sophia stepped into her new life with a calm confidence that belied the storm she had weathered. The betrayal that once threatened to destroy her had instead forged her into a woman of undeniable power and authority. With John and Deborah removed from the family's inner circle, shattered by public disgrace and legal consequences, the family itself was fractured, its old structure dismantled to make way for renewal. Sophia, now firmly established beside Ryan, stood at the heart of this transformation, a queen in her own right. The dynamic between Sophia and Ryan evolved from a strategic alliance into a partnership grounded in mutual respect and quiet affection. Though their union began as a calculated move to consolidate power and protect the family legacy, time revealed deeper layers beneath their collaboration. Moments once reserved for business began to include shared confidences and subtle gestures of care. Their relationship, while never overtly romantic, grew in warmth and complexity, a steady current beneath the surface of boardroom negotiations and family duties. Sophia found in Ryan a mentor who valued her intellect and resilience. He admired her ability to navigate the treacherous waters of family politics and corporate intrigue with grace and precision. In turn, Sophia appreciated Ryan's unwavering support and strategic vision, recognizing that his experience complemented her fresh perspective and determination. Together, they embodied a new era of leadership, balanced, thoughtful, and fiercely protective of what they had rebuilt. With the path cleared of treachery, Sophia turned her attention to rebuilding her empire. The lessons from her past life guided her every decision. She approached investments and business ventures with renewed confidence, correcting mistakes made before Rebirth and seizing opportunities others overlooked. Her leadership style was marked by strategic foresight and an unshakable commitment to integrity. Where once naivety had clouded her judgment, now clarity and prudence ruled. Sophia's efforts extended beyond mere financial gain. She sought to restore the family's reputation and strengthen its foundations against future threats. Initiatives were launched to improve corporate governance, enhance transparency, and foster a culture of loyalty and accountability within the company. Employees and stakeholders responded positively to this shift, embracing the renewed sense of purpose and stability Sophia championed. The family staff, once divided and wary, gradually aligned behind Sophia's leadership. Their initial skepticism gave way to respect as they witnessed her unwavering dedication and the tangible results of her stewardship. The cold glances and veiled hostility softened into quiet cooperation, creating a working environment marked by professionalism and renewed loyalty. Sophia understood the importance of nurturing these relationships, recognizing that true power rested not only in titles but in the trust of those who served the family's interests. Society at large began to accept Sophia's rightful place within the family's legacy. Media narratives shifted from scandal and betrayal to stories of redemption and strength. Public appearances were carefully managed to showcase the unity and renewed vision of the family's leadership. Sophia's poised demeanor and articulate advocacy for ethical business practices earned her admiration and respect, positioning her as a role model in the corporate world and beyond. Despite the outward calm and success, Sophia remained vigilant. She knew the fragility of power and the ever-present risks of betrayal. Her experiences had taught her that complacency was a luxury she could not afford. Strategic alliances were maintained and expanded, and she continued to cultivate a network of trusted advisors and confidants. Her partnership with Ryan was central to this, their combined influence serving as a bulwark against emerging challenges. Sophia also embraced personal growth and healing during this period. The emotional scars left by betrayal and loss began to heal, replaced by a profound sense of self-worth and purpose. She allowed herself moments of vulnerability with Ryan, finding comfort in their shared experiences and understanding. These connections humanized her, balancing the demands of leadership with the needs of the heart. The legacy Sophia preserved was no longer vulnerable to deceit or manipulation. It was fortified by her strategic mind, her alliances, and her unwavering commitment to justice and integrity. The family's fortune and reputation were safeguarded, setting the stage for future generations to inherit a dynasty built on resilience and wisdom. Sophia's transformation resonated beyond the walls of the family estate. She became a symbol of empowerment, demonstrating that strength could emerge from adversity and that reclaiming one's narrative was a powerful act of liberation. Her story inspired others facing betrayal and injustice, offering a blueprint for turning pain into power. As the seasons changed, Sophia continued to shape her world with quiet determination. Her days were filled with meaningful work, strategic planning, and moments of reflection. She balanced the demands of leadership with the joys of newfound stability, embracing the complexity of her role with grace. The fractured family, once a source of pain and conflict, gradually found a new equilibrium. While scars remained, the wounds were healing under Sophia's guidance. Relationships were cautiously mended where possible, and the future was approached with cautious optimism. Sophia's presence served as a stabilizing force, a reminder that even in the aftermath of betrayal, renewal was possible. In the twilight hours, Sophia often stood on the balcony overlooking the city, a vast tapestry of lights and life. The weight of her journey settled comfortably on her shoulders. She had emerged from darkness not only unbroken but transformed. The legacy she now guarded was a testament to her strength, intelligence, and unyielding spirit. Her story was far from over, but the chapter of pain and betrayal had closed. In its place stood a narrative of empowerment, strategic mastery, and enduring resilience. Sophia had claimed her throne, not as a passive inheritor but as a commanding matriarch shaping her destiny with purpose and pride. The world recognized her not just as a survivor but as a leader. Her influence extended beyond the family's walls, touching industries, communities, and lives. Sophia's journey from betrayed fiancé to queenmaker was complete, a legacy forged in fire and tempered by wisdom. And so, with the betrayers removed and the family's future secured, Sophia embraced her new life, one of authority, influence, and quiet but unmistakable power. Revenge had ignited the fire within her, a fierce blaze that demanded justice and retribution. But as the ashes settled, it was power that took hold, the steady, enduring flame that illuminated her path forward. Sophia understood that vengeance alone could not sustain her. It was the transformation that followed, the forging of a legacy forged not in reaction but in deliberate creation, that defined her true victory. She was no longer the shattered woman left to pick up fragments of a broken life. Each step she took from that moment onward was one of intention and authority. The pain of betrayal had been transmuted into strength, the wounds into wisdom. Her story was no longer one of victimhood but of empowerment, an epic tale of resilience and ascendance. In shedding the chains of the past, Sophia reclaimed her narrative. She rewrote the script that had once cast her as a mere pawn in a cruel game, emerging instead as the architect of her own destiny. The throne she occupied was earned through courage, intellect, and unwavering resolve. It was a seat built on foundations of justice and fortified by strategic alliances that she had cultivated with precision. Her kingdom was more than wealth or titles, it was the empire of influence she commanded in business, family, and society. The legacy she shaped reflected her vision, a dynasty no longer vulnerable to deception or betrayal but resilient, adaptive, and enduring. Sophia's reign was marked by wisdom tempered with compassion, strength balanced by insight. The echoes of her journey resonated beyond her immediate sphere. Her rise inspired others who had suffered similar wounds, showing that true power came not from vengeance alone but from the ability to transform pain into purpose. She became a beacon for those seeking to reclaim control over fractured lives, a living testament to the indomitable human spirit. Sophia's transformation was a reminder that while revenge might light the spark, it was the steady flame of power, vision, and leadership that ensured lasting triumph. In embracing her new role, she had transcended the limitations imposed by her past, becoming a symbol of hope and renewal. Her kingdom stood tall and unyielding, a monument to her journey through darkness into light. And as she surveyed the realm she had built, Sophia knew that she was no longer bound by the betrayals that once defined her. She was the queen, not by birthright, but by the strength of her will and the clarity of her purpose. In this new chapter, she reigned supreme, a force of nature reshaping the world on her own terms, forever transformed and forever empowered.